Hello everyone, today's tutorial is this fierce cut crease cat eye. I was really inspired by 60s makeup trends. It's one of my favorite eras. So this is kind of a mashup of late 50s to mid 60s colors and placements. We also have some modern elements to keep it looking contemporary. Let us start. I have already applied a light layer of foundation so that we can get straight onto the eyes. I'm using a flesh colored eyeshadow base from the brow to the lash line. This will enhance longevity, but it also has another purpose, which you'll see a little later on. I'm adding a touch to the lower lash line also. If you prefer to do your eyeliner freehand, go for it. If you are lazy, like me, then you can use some surgical tape to map out a wing. I'm placing the tape on a bit of a flatter angle than I would normally, connecting to the outer third of the lower lash line. I'm opting for a black gel liner today. If you're partial to pencil formulas, you can use that instead. We're creating a thin line over the entire upper lash line and taking it right into the tear duct. I'm tracing quite a long wing here because I want this liner to be dramatic and fierce. Then build the liner on the outer half of the eye. Don't go too thick at this point because we'll be diffusing that line, which can make it look quite a bit thicker. Next, take a black eyeshadow on a precise brush and slowly trace where the liner meets the skin. You might have to go over this quite a few times. I just think this is such a cool contrast. When we peel off that tape, the lower wing will be super crisp and then the upper wing will be smoky and soft. Now you can peel off your tape, admire your work, and then go back to your black eyeshadow and soften the line on the lower lash line so that it kind of appears to fade away. To achieve that more feline Sophia Loren vibe, I'm using a liquid eyeliner to extend my eyeliner past my tear duct. Now I'm gonna be honest, I touched this up like 3 times in the tutorial. It's a very effective placement and totally unsuitable for weepy eyes. Using the same gel liner and a tiny flat brush, I'm pushing the liner into the tight line so that our lash line looks really dense and black. I'm working with matte neutral eyeshadows, so dust a flesh tone from the crease to the brow. This is going to help with the blending process, and we're doing a cut crease, so we're going to need all the help we can get. Switch to a small angle brush and dip back into our black eyeshadow. Now dust off most of the products. That bit is important. We are going to cut the crease. Now I want to point out that my eyes are definitely not ideal for a cut crease. They're asymmetrical, one of my eyelids is heavy, the other eye is deep set. I'm not sitting here bashing myself, I want this to encourage you. If I can do it, then you absolutely can. I'm working on my heavy eyelid here, so look straight ahead and then tilt the head back. Determine what part of that mobile lid is visible when your eyes are open and sketch a soft line a fraction higher than your natural socket. This is not as tricky as it is finicky, so if it takes you forever, welcome to the club. Now I'm working on my deep set eye. This is much easier because my natural socket is defined. This eye has a larger mobile lid, so I'll kind of go back and forth between the two eyes and try to cheat them to make that space look somewhat similar. A good tip, take a photo with your eyes closed, and that helps to see how symmetrical your cut crease is. When it comes to the outer corner, I'm sweeping the cut crease to a second line that is parallel to my wing. Totally optional, I think it adds a bit of extra interest. Now I'm using a mix of medium browns on a small crease brush to diffuse that cut crease. We're attempting to blend the upper perimeter of that shading, but try to keep that lower perimeter crisp. If it's not as crisp as you'd like, don't worry, I have a tip coming for you. A lot of these 60s icons actually left the crease totally unblended, but that looks absolutely ridiculous on me, so we're going to take the contemporary route. Last step for the eyeshadow, I'm taking a peachy shade and dusting around the edges. I just like a little bit of warmth. If you are all about that crisp cut crease life, take some of that eyeshadow base that we used earlier and using a stiff brush, you can sharpen the underside of the cut crease. Lately, I have been loving this tight lining product as a pre-falsies mascara. It doesn't really coat the lashes or do anything dramatic, but it tames any unruly hairs and keeps the lashes pointing in the right direction. False lashes were the ultimate accessory in the 60s, so I'm going all out with the House of Lashes Iconic. I think they fit this look perfectly. They're piecey enough to give that 60s vibe, but wispy enough to pair with such a graphic eye. Quite a few of you have noted that I've changed my brows recently, and you are right. To achieve that feathery, brushed up brow, I used the Suku brow pen to elongate the tails and add a few hairs to the inner portion of the brow. The majority of the brow I actually leave bare, so you can see little bits of skin peeking out beneath, and I really like that look. I then take the Surat brow pomade, new holy grail product, love this stuff, and I use that to brush all the hairs directly upwards, and voila, super textured brow, a little bit undone, and very Karima. The Charlotte Tilbury Retoucher Concealer. Awesome if you're looking for a medium coverage concealer that doesn't look makeup-y or heavy or cakey. I'm concealing any discoloration under the eyes and also sweeping the concealer over the cheekbones because the tape removed my foundation there. Whipping out my Marc Jacobs contour powder. I mentioned this before quite a few times. The texture is so silky, but it's a little bit warm for my contour taste. So I'm using a slightly different placement. First, I'll shade the very hollows and then slowly blend upwards, wrapping around the cheekbone. So it's kind of acting as both a sculpting product and a bronzer. I'll take a bigger brush to introduce some of that tone to the temples and the outer hairline, just to pull everything together. I'm using two products on the lips, starting with a lip liner. I'm overdrawing my lips a little, perhaps a little too much, but you know, YOLO. I'm infatuated with this lip pencil. It's got an impeccable formula. It is a gorgeous color. Guys, the hype is totally justified. Topping with a very affordable lipstick. This is probably more vibrant than your typical peachy 60s lip, but it has a white base and it's very matte, so it retains a bit of a 60s vibe. I'm blending the edges here with a lip brush so that the lip liner meshes with the lipstick. Milani Corallina, oh my god, such a glorious coral blush. I'm sweeping the blush up the cheekbones for more of a sculptural placement. I think the apples of the cheek would have made this look quite dolly. Dusting a pure white highlight on the tops of the cheekbones, a little above the arch of the brow, maybe a bit down the nose, on the chin, everywhere. Clé de Peau highlights are beyond expensive, just a warning, but if you are looking for a very special treat, there is nothing quite like it. To finish the look, I'm adding a flesh tone pencil to the lower waterline. This just completes our wide-eyed transformation. Surprise, surprise, I'm keeping the hair messy and unstyled, you know me. I'm using a bit of the Orbe dry texturizing spray. Not even a hair person, but this stuff is the bomb. And that is the final look. You could absolutely create a softer version of the liner and the cut crease if you're seeking something a little more wearable, but I think this one is such a fun one to try, especially if you'd like to maybe refine your makeup skills or have an experiment. If you haven't already subscribed, you should subscribe. I upload a new video every single week. I hope that you all have a wonderful day, and I will speak to you all very soon. Bye bye.